After rewatching the 3 long touchdowns that they had, like, can you just go through those 3, and especially the whether or not you thought that was a penalty that they picked up on the second play?
Yeah, obviously, first one, they play with tempo, miscommunication early in the drive. Good job. I mean, to them, they create chaos. It's loud, so the environment, nice job by them. One side was playing man, the other side was playing zone and some combo stuff. So, got us there for an explosive. We just got to clean that up as we continue to play, better hand signals on the field when you can't hear to make sure we're on the same page. Second one, that kid made a nice play. Whether it's a flag or not, I think everybody has their opinion on that. I'm never going to make an excuse. At the end of the day, if they would have blocked him, they would have scored. They didn't need to high-low him to block him successfully. Was it a high-low? Yes, they admitted it was a high-low in the ref report, which is fine. But for us, they didn't need to high-low to affect the play. They would have been able to successfully block it, and their guys made a good play. So still a great play by them. They got us there. One-on-one, that was a fast guy. He was really fast, and he ran fast, and they threw it far, and he cut it over his shoulder. You got to give him credit. They're going to make plays. And then the last was just unfortunate, to be honest. Late in the game, another explosive. We trip over the number 3 receiver, which sucks. That never happens in the football game, about to come off the edge blind. So it is what it is. There's always calls you'd like to have back in a game, and all those scenarios. We'd like to have all 3 of those calls back as a coaching staff, because all 3 of those calls create communication, which we didn't do a good enough job communicating in 2 of them. So all 3 of those calls I'd like to have back, and I'd like to play cover 2. And every single time they took a shot, in my hindsight, that would be my perfect scenario in those 3.
Blake Neiman, Fox 10 News. What were your thoughts on, I guess, the emotions of the team after the game and the attitude with them coming back and regrouping today?
Yeah, I think our team's in a good spot. Like I told our guys, you can't get, the outside noise and the clout, right, is going to disappear, whatever that means, okay? But the goal of the season and the vision of the season really has no change. And for us, the funny thing about football, more than even other sports, is not all the plays are even. Right? That's what makes football so great is, in other sports, an out is an out, right? They're worth 1 out every time. Every run that touches on play is 1 point, right? And it's 1 run. For football, 1 play. 3 plays in the game equate to half of the yardage. Played really, really, really good defense. Those were a positive. On offense, we clicked in the second half. We flipped the switch. We got our run game going. So like I told our guys, if we let 1 or 2 of these plays affect how we played in the second half, right, that's not a sign of a good football team. Good football teams take the actual substance of that football game, and the substance was we played really, really good football in the second half, really good football on the road in a great environment. We've got to, go into that, not, there was 1 or 2 plays in the game that didn't go our way. Well, let's just clean those 1 or 2 plays up and go play another football game. That was kind of the messaging. I think the guys have responded really good.
Kenny, 4 of 24 on 3rd down through the first 2 weeks of the season. How much does that impact the rhythm for the offense, and then what do you guys need to do to improve that moving forward?
Yeah, spot on. That's not good, if you're wondering. That's really bad. And I think we just got to simplify things. We got to give our players, easier things to see. We got to get our guys more comfortable. But 100%, when you're not converting 3rd downs, when do you throw it if you don't feel good about 3rd and medium? Okay, you have a 1st down run. Great. It's 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5. Well, if you don't feel good about 3rd and medium, you can't throw it on 2nd and medium then, because you're like, crap, we don't want to get into 3rd and medium. Right? You can't, if you throw it on 1st down and it's incomplete, well, now you run the ball and you have a good run and it's 3rd and 5. Well, we're not converting 3rd and medium. So I think once we clean up kind of 3rd downs, we're taking a big emphasis on that. It will allow us to stay in more of a rhythm on offense, and you can't go 3 and out and get in a rhythm, right? So when you get to those, we're getting into 3rd and longs. We're not getting into as many 3rd and good manageables as we would like. So we got to get into 3rd and better manageables, and we got to do that with 1st and 2nd down, obviously. And then once we get to 3rd down, get 1 conversion, I think we'll get rolling. So I think some things just kind of feed off each other in football games. So you don't convert 3rd downs. It's not a shocker you don't get in a rhythm. It's not a shocker you can't run the ball as much. Well, you don't have as many plays. You don't have as many plays, you can't do anything as much. You want to run it more, you want to throw it more, you want to call more screens. So you can't do anything if you're not converting third down, or you're not obviously converting your play action game as smoothly.
Kenny, Colin Harmon, ABC 15. Through the first 2 weeks, your pass catchers outside of the running backs and Jordan haven't really gotten super involved. I mean, what are you seeing from that unit, Sam, the operation as to?
Yeah, we got to get more guys involved. We just got to get more guys involved. So that's the plan. I mean, in fall camp, we had more guys involved all the time. We got to do a better job myself getting more guys involved. That's simple. We have guys out there that should be involved, can be involved. So we just got to get more guys involved.
Kenny, you had mentioned cover two, and in hindsight, what was the thought process on getting away from that on that last touchdown they scored?
Well, we weren't in cover two almost all night. We were in quarters pretty much the majority of the night. We were in quarters that last play they scored a touchdown on, and that was one of our base calls throughout the night. In that scenario was a soft quarter shell, and we were playing that most of the night.
What was Breedlove's role on that play specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into guys specifically like that. You know, in hindsight, they called switch verts double move. You know, it's 3rd and 8. You would love if you hit home, the game's over because they have no timeouts. You would love to, play that side. In hindsight, I would wish we were in cover 2, and we just played a bracket shell coverage, give up the completion, let them play catch. But that's the best part about coaching is, sometimes it doesn't work. And it sucks, and then you get to say that you wish you were in something different. So 100%, I will always, if something doesn't work, I lay up in bed all night saying, man, should we have gone for it? Man, why didn't I go for it? Man, should I kick the onside kick that I thought was there at the end of the game, right? But no, so you always live in this hindsight world. So yeah, everything that doesn't work, I literally constantly second guess after the game and what we could have done that would have been the best call. 100%, I wish we were in soft 2 coverage on that last play that broke for a touchdown.
Jacob in the back.
Hey Kenny, Jacob Brooks, Sun Devil Source. You just talked about how one of the things you're taking away from the game is the offense flipping that switch in the second half. What do you think contributed to that switch not being flipped in the first half? And is there anything you guys are going to change moving forward to kind of have that momentum all 4 quarters?
Yeah, I thought, just early in the game we couldn't get in a rhythm. Obviously, we ran the ball an absurd amount of times in the second half, right? You don't usually go into a game saying we're going to run the ball 14 consecutive plays or whatever that is. That's usually not a recipe for success. So I think it was just an adjustment to what we were seeing. And then at the same token, Relik's in this, he's starting to get a lot more carries. Udo got in there, got a lot of carries. And we started to get a rhythm for where things were hitting. In the first half, we were bouncing a lot of runs and letting the ball get to the edge. In the second half, we were being patient and taking dirtier runs. So I actually think up front at tight end, we got to give a shout out to Shimon. Shimon is playing unbelievable right now. Like, it's not going to reflect in the stats, but him and the O-line had an unbelievable game. And sometimes, tight ends who block get under the radar. You got to respect how he's playing the game right now. But no, I just think we got in a better rhythm of where the things were hitting. We calmed down some of the looks, so we were on the right people, and then we moved people, and it was really successful. And then our play action, we had JT on a glance route later in that drive. We had a naked we scrambled on. So it all fed. We then hit a naked on the goal line. So that running the ball, that identity definitely opened things up in the second half.
Hi, Kenny. Hodo Rubino, Devil's Digest. You said at halftime there's no panic with the team. You're saying right now the team is in a good spot, so I'm assuming no panic at all. Is it hard to reconcile that with some of the tough, frank conversations you're having with players and with coaches after the game, looking at all the issues and fixing, obviously, what needs to be fixed?
Yeah, I would say I have the exact same conversations after if we make one more play and win than if we make one less play and lose. I think overreacting is one of the reasons why teams that are really, really good can go on downward spirals. And I think that's the nature of sport. The nature of sport is it's results driven externally. So sometimes you can get lost in the external result of is it in the W column or the loss column. And if you're too drastic because one play was wrong, you do so many things differently. Well, that is a recipe for failure down the road. What we're trying to do is say, okay, like every week, what do we do good? What do we do bad? How do we be better? I never leave a game. The emotion after a game is based off winning or losing. I never show up on Sunday, and the win or the loss has zero effect on how we approach the next week. It has zero effect on how we approach what we got to get better at. Because there are 7, 10 plays in the football game that could have flipped that game into a win for us. Just like that. And if we won that game, I probably don't get asked that question. So the key is to not get distracted by those things of the external wins and losses and stay focused on the little things that could have flipped it. So I'd say the exact same that we normally have. The guys, obviously it's a bad taste in your mouth, so we got to flush that. You can't let Mississippi State beat you twice. You can't let one game affect the next, right? So you got to flush that.
Max in the back.
Hey, Kenny, Max Pado, Walter Cronkite Sports Network. You mentioned last year, exactly a year ago, when Coach Kenny basically loaded up the box watching the film from last year against Mississippi State, where Scat ran it up and down the field, and they loaded the box, and the run game was basically neutralized for much of that game, as you probably remember. This year, they're probably going to watch the film again and see in week 2, you guys have this incredible rushing performance. How are you trying to neutralize your necessary scheme entering this time, matching up with Coach Kenny, and considering that the rushing game was a big factor the week prior, and they're going to be prepared for that?
Yeah, he does a great job. I think he's one of the best coaches in college football, especially younger guys. They've added a lot of good players to their roster, like a ton. You watch them play football, and they're a very, very, very talented football team on tape. Very talented, very twitchy on the defensive line, twitchy at corner. Offensively, they've got a three-headed monster, and they got other guys around them that have speed. So this is a really good football team in terms of running the ball. Obviously, you're going to watch last week's game. You're going to say, okay, how do we stop the run? But you also know that we've got really good players around it, and you're not defined by one football game. So yes, we got to be able to establish a run. I think most teams want to be able to establish the run, and everybody knows we have to be able to have be better in the intermediate and play action pass game. We got to be able to scheme guys open more. Like I got to do a lot. I got to do a lot more to help our guys in some of those scenarios.
Hey, Kenny, Damon Allred, Arizona Sports. With some of what was going wrong in the first half, was there anything physically with Sam that contributed to the game plan going away from him at halftime? No, I don't think we went away from Sam. I think we leaned on our strength. The strength of the football game was we were running the ball really well. And before the last drive, I literally told we were on the 5-yard line, and 4, and I told the team, we're going to run duo 14 straight times. There's going to be no time on the clock, and we're going to win the football game. Unfortunately, Raleek had a 25-yard run, which didn't allow us to get another first down, which allowed them to get the ball back. If we would have had a 12-yard run, right, then we could have actually milked the clock out and kicked a field goal to win. So too good of a run by Raleek there, allowed them to get the ball back. But those guys, they answered the bell. I said, this is an identity drive. Let's establish an identity of who we want to be the rest of the year. And they did that. So it wasn't about a player. The same token, we converted a 3rd and 7 on a play action play where, JT catches the ball over the middle of the field, and we have a guy in the quarterback's face, and he delivers a great throw on a 3rd and 7 after the penalty around midfield. So everybody was a piece of that, but I just think we leaned and we challenged our guys to, from a culture drive, and I think they responded there.
All right, Jordan in the back, and then we can pass that.
Hey, Kenny, Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ. Do you have any updates on the injury front for this team?
Don't right now. I think Watley I do. Watley will be back. Watley will be back this week. Moss is still up in the air from last week. Kyson will probably be out, barring something, incredible. But he's a tough kid, so I never like to say for sure because the way he works, you never know. And then the other guys we're still kind of waiting on. But those are the guys I know, as I always tell you, as of Monday morning, those are the guys I know.
Doug Franz Unplugged. Admittedly, there's opinion baked into the question, but on the last Mississippi State touchdown, you said hindsight. I thought it was a great play call if you're up by 2, but when you got to keep them out of the end zone, when you say hindsight, is it just, well, they scored, so it's hindsight, or does it actually change anything? Do you and Coach Ward plan that differently? What does hindsight mean going forward?
Hindsight means for me, if something doesn't work, you always second guess yourself. It's the game of second guessing. I mean, at the end of the day, we struggled scoring in their end zone and we had penalties in their end zone, right? So you don't want to play that game for OT, right? Because if we play that game for overtime with the cowbells and that environment, right, we're going to have to play perfect football down there to win. So their kicker last week kicked a 55-year-old field goal and nailed it with space. So they're 18-ish yards out of field goal range, 35, 40 seconds left to go at that point. We had an opportunity where we feel like we could sack the quarterback and end the game. And we were right, and be in a bracket, shelled-ish coverage where we're giving up quick game. They called a double move. We didn't hit home, so you're like, dang, if we hit home, we win the football game. But, yeah, I mean, so hindsight to me is it didn't work. So that sucks. You know, we didn't hit home. It didn't get the result we wanted. So I always look at that and say, man, could we have hit home playing a cover 3 pressure? Could we have hit home with just a 4-man rush? Maybe, right? But we felt like we had a guy that we had a chance to come free, and it didn't work. So,
And my second question is, looking at Sam, I don't think that was his best game. Tell me about him on the plane. Tell me about him yesterday. What have you seen from Sam in the last 48 hours?
Yeah, I think he's been great. He's come in, he's gotten to work, showed up yesterday, went back to work. I think, you know, everybody doesn't have great games every game. Like, the dude's unbelievable. Like, I wouldn't trade him for any other quarterback in the country. That's the quarterback I want to coach. That's the quarterback that I have complete faith in. So I think for me and him, there's really no difference. It's let's get back to work. And crap, I've called some horrible games. Absolutely atrocious. We played Georgia year 1 at Oregon, and golly, did I not set up Bo Nix to succeed that game. I absolutely set him up to fail. So, I mean, it's part of, you know, being elite and being a high-level player is the expectation so high. And I think for him, that's the fun part is we're gonna bounce back. We're gonna do a better job giving him plays to get in a rhythm because we haven't done that yet. So, like I said, I don't know if it's really not him. It's us. It's us as a staff. I got to do a better job getting him to play up to his potential, and that's my job.
Passed over to Chris, please.
Kenny, what is your philosophy on guidance to Brian Ward, like in the game in that situation like that? Are you kind of, obviously you have confidence in him, so are you more hands off, or are you giving a lot of feedback?
We're communicating, so like 3rd and 8, 40 seconds, no timeouts, 1 sack wins the game. So if we have a call that can sack them, you win, right? They've already driven the ball about 25 yards. They just had a drop in the drive, which should have put them on about the plus 48, which is 8 to 10 yards away from field goal range for their kicker, who's good. You don't want to go into overtime versus that team because you're going to get the ball on the side and it's going to be cowbell and loud. You're probably going to eventually get a false start at that point. It's harder to play a game on the road in OT in that environment. So you're not playing to try to hold them to 3. You're playing to win. So if you have a call that wins the game, you call it. We called it. It didn't work. You lose. Were we expecting, should that call have given up a touchdown? We were not expecting it to give up a touchdown. Were we expecting it could give up quick game that could gain 15 yards? Yeah, that would have sucked. Were we expecting it to give up a touchdown? Definitely not. We were actually calling it for them to take a shot. That call was for a deeper progressional route, which they ran, which, you know, but when it doesn't work, it sucks. It's not nearly as fun as when it works. And usually we win close games. You know, unfortunately, we've been a part of 2 really fun losses. You know, the last 2 of the last 3 games have been some of the biggest, the most emotional losses I've been a part of. You know, and crazy enough, we've been a part of it, which sucks. It also says, look how close we are to being on an unbelievable run, right? But it also shows, like, man, we gotta play these into the game situations better. We got to be better.
Somewhat related. We knew like replacing Shamari Simmons was a big deal, and what have you thought about in coverage your safety nickel group and moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part of the game, I thought they did really well. I mean, we didn't get beat. The slots didn't get beat on anything vertically down the field versus a team that's a huge vertical option team. We're going to face that again this week. You know, even Rouser at boundary safety, who's also, you know, he's the reciprocal of the nickel in our defense. So he had one that was close, but he had good coverage there in the slot. So I thought they were going to be able to, you know, try to isolate more of our nickel than our corner, and we had a plan to kind of protect him. But our guys held up, and they did a good job. for the most part in the first 2 weeks. They've covered pretty well. You know, there's been a couple MAs, but like those are MAs. That's part of playing football in the scheme. You know, week 1, week 2 in the scheme.
Blake in the back.
Hey, Kenny. Was it kind of odd or strange or jarring to see going from last year where people are rushing the field here to where they're rushing the field on now you guys as a program being ranked so highly and that meaning they rush the field?
Yeah, it's a great sign. I mean, it's a great sign. I mean, I don't think people would have rushed the field, you know, 2.5 years ago when we got here for beating Arizona State. Now we're week 2. We're on the road in the SEC. We battle back. We take the lead. It's going to be the biggest comeback in Arizona State with this team. We're back, baby. One play. Oh, they're not back. Oh, you can't fall into the game. You can't listen to that. You have to be focused on what happened in the game. What matters is the game, not you want the result. That's the emotion. But you can't be lost in that. So what I mean by that is like, yeah, it's pretty cool. You don't ever want that. It means you lost. But it shows the respect that people have for our football team. We're going to get everybody's best game every week. We're going to be in a ton of close games. Last year in those 7 points or less games in the regular season, we were 5-0. Right now we're 0-1. Okay, we've got to flip the narrative. We got to win the close games again, and we're one play away from it. And people are saying, "Oh, you guys are elite in close games." Well, now we suck in close games, right? That's the nature of the beast. You've got to weather the storm, not listen to the outside noise, and go get better at what you can get better at.
Front right, Nate.
Coach Nate Mills, Cronkite News Sports. Obviously, the goal of the season is to win as many games as possible and get back to the championship. But
not my goal.
But 4 of your next 5 opponents are from Texas, and I'm curious, a win this week against Texas State, what does that do for the Texas to Tempe pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, I want to play our best football. That's my goal. Obviously, I want to win as many games as possible, but that's a result of accomplishing our goal of playing our best football, right? That's constantly going to be my goal, is to just play our very best. Like, that's why I wasn't happy after week 1. That's why the second half of last week I was very, very happy with, because I thought we played really, really good football. That's all I want. And I know if we play our best football, the wins are going to come naturally. If you chase wins constantly, you're going to lose focus and you're going to spiral out of control. And we got to stay focused on playing our best football all the time is my goal. In terms of the Texas to Tempe pipeline, 100%, you definitely want to play well in these games where people can, you know, a lot of people are watching, you know, that this coaching staff, over 95, I think, % of their roster, no, you can barely find anybody not from Texas on their roster. Moral of the story, whatever that percentage is. So they recruit a very similar talent pool that we do from that perspective. So they got a lot of players that our guys are familiar with. They got guys from our team that are there with Buddha and JP Dieter, who are 2 awesome kids that I'm wishing them nothing but success. So yeah, this is a tough challenge, and they're going to be ready to give everything they got this week. I mean, it's going to be another. I think we're really, really close to selling out again, which would be awesome. Really close to another sellout. So hopefully it's another sold-out crowd, a great environment. Hopefully we can continue to protect home field, which our guys have done in the last year and a half. Continue to protect home field, and get seen by a whole bunch of people in a region that we play a lot.
You go to UT and you go toe-to-toe with them last year. You beat Texas State at home last year. How does it kind of feel to physically bring Texas recruits to Tempe and kind of show them around?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I think when people come out here, they really see the vision of what we're trying to get done here. They see how cool Tempe is, how cool the Valley is, how cool Phoenix is, and so it's a place that guys come here and they're happy to be here, you know, and they're excited about it.
Finish up with a couple more.
Dane Palmer with Cronkite News. Obviously, the running game was there this weekend. Udo had a big part in that. Has he entered a more solidified role? And what was he thinking when he kept getting that duo call, him and?
Just fired up. I mean, fired up. They didn't bounce the football in the second half. They were staying tight as possible, other than one of Relik's runs that bounced on a fib formation versus the corner. He got to outrun him. But Udo did a really nice job. Ran really hard. Ran through tackles. Our O-line was pushing the pile. So it was great to get him going. Like, that's another huge positive. Like, that's what every game I look and what are the positives? What are the negatives? What can we do better? We cleaned up hands inside. We didn't have many holding calls, right? So we cleaned that up. We had a few procedural issues, but that's because that place is loud and it's an awesome environment. Only one procedural penalty or timeout having to be used that wasn't in their region of the student section, right? Which is where it got the loudest. Most of that communication stuff, other than one around the 45-yard line, happened in their area of the field. So for us to be able to clean those issues up and play fairly clean football was a huge positive.
Coach Michael Caracino, Pitchfork Lunch. You mentioned Shimon before. I mean, I know obviously it's recent, but and you've talked about how Coach Moss talked about how he's grown as a leader and a player. But is that, I mean, recent one of the best, blocking top 5 ever performances by a tight end that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've never ranked him the top, but it has to be high, right? That dude was unbelievable. Like what he's done, and he's just, that's a guy whose Twitter handles Take Him Deep 7, and he has bought into playing a brand of football that's old school, and we do have to get him the ball more because he's playing really, really good football right now. I couldn't be happier with how he's playing, his buy-in. He's just one of the unsung heroes for sure.
Adam. Hey, Coach, Adam Keenan, Cronkite News. Just some of the freedom that Sam has been given this season, especially at the line of scrimmage. How do you balance that, especially in road environments, just with kind of letting him open up the playbook, but also putting him in a position to be successful?
Yeah, great question. I think there's a balance, So I think we just got to find that balance this year on what that is. To say we have it would obviously not be a correct answer, right? We got to find it. But I definitely think we're trending it to figure us out. Every team's a little bit different. I think we proved that we can run the football. And I think that was probably the biggest question going into the year was, from people is, can we run the football? I think we can. So now it's okay if what is our identity, and then how do you build it from there? So I definitely think we have to find that balance with him. Like I said, I don't think I've done a good enough job putting him in positions to have easy success. I think one of the best things that I've done in my past is giving quarterbacks the ability to really just operate, and then when they need to make special plays, make it. I think sometimes we're asking him to make too many special plays and not enough just easy plays. And I've got to find ways to not let that happen in the future so we can help him. Because at the end of the day, myself and him, we go hand in hand with this. And if he's not in a rhythm, that's my fault. And I've got to force him into a rhythm. And we haven't really got him in one of those.
Kenny, how will playing in that environment that you faced Saturday night and coming back the way you did in the second half prepare your team for anything else they'll see on the road the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's huge. I don't know. I mean, that environment's as good as it gets in college football when that place is rocking. I told our guys at halftime, literally, this is the best thing that could happen to our football team. We need to face adversity before conference play. We need to have our backs against the wall before conference play, before they all count, right? Conference play is when everything starts to count. And we need to have our backs against the wall. We're going to find out what we're made of. And I think our team responded to that on the road, how we played in the second half. Our team showed the grit. Our team showed we're not going to quit. Our team showed the fight. I think everybody can watch that game, and you can still see the passion of how you play football. And I think that was the one thing that I'll always take pride in is when you turn on our tape, do we play hard? Do we play with passion? Can you feel it? I think in that second half, everybody could feel us play the game through the screen. If you were there, if you weren't there on the field, if you were there, you could feel that passion. And that's my number one judge of a football team is that. And I think you could feel that in the second half. That's why I was happy with how we played. Obviously, would have loved to win the football game. I definitely want to win. Just make sure it's clear. But it's not how I view games. It's how I view the moment. I view the games in terms of were we successful or not on each play and each moment. And that's not judged by wins or losses either. Like, it's not judged by winning a game or losing a game does not determine that.
Finish up with Alan.
Alan Judson, Blaze Radio. Coach Keyshawn Elliott, Clayton Smith, they're both members of your leadership council. They combined for all 3 of your sacks, 4 of your 6 TFLs. What do those 2 guys mean to the defense and to the football team as a whole?
Yeah, huge. I mean, Clayton's gained 15 pounds. You could see it. He got to bull rush some, which wasn't really in his arsenal last year, and squeeze the pocket. He brought a good twist game there at the end of the first half, which sacked the quarterback. And then, Keyshawn's pound for pound the strongest. He always wins our Ironman Award every year, so you can see that play out. So to see both those guys have success is huge. And I think it was one of our better games at impacting the quarterback with 4. I thought we impacted the quarterback, a good amount throughout the night, which was a positive, whether it was with 4, whether it was with some of our pressures. I did think we impacted the quarterback enough. We just, too many explosive plays, 3 explosive plays away from talking about, under 150 yards of offense, 180 yards of offense. But that's the nature of football, is those 3 plays. And that system is built to create those 3 plays. So we've got to be able to mitigate those 3 plays moving forward, whether that's schematically simplifying things or what that is. We cannot let that continue to happen.